Good morning. It is week 1 of the recovery training or recovery program for the marathon that I ran last Sunday. I ran the Mountains to Beach Marathon last Sunday. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about the recovery plan that I'm using. I found it on the Runner's World website, and it's 4 weeks of recovery. And so the first day I walked for 20 minutes, then I rested the next day, and so far I'm just walking or cross training for 20 to 30 minutes a day. I would really like to go swimming today, which would be really a lot of fun. I'm here in a park recording this, and so I had a lot of notes about the marathon itself that I wanted to share because it was really a great experience and I had a really positive experience with it. So I wanted to share what factors I believe made that a positive experience, and a lot of it I believe had to do with the training program that I used. I used the Hal Higdon Novice 1 program, and it built up over 18 weeks before the marathon, and it got up to where the longest run was 20 miles, which seemed to be just perfect. I didn't have a problem with that. You know, if you run 20 miles, what's 6 more miles, really? So about the marathon course, it was a massively downhill course. It's called Mountains to Beach for a reason. I think it's a net downhill, you know, I don't want to guess the feet because I'm not really good with numbers, but it's a significant downhill course, and a lot of people qualify for the Boston Marathon on that course. So the day before the marathon, I wanted to share a little bit about what my strategy was. I rested a lot, I drank a lot of water, I had 2 Gatorades, I went to bed early, and I did eat a spaghetti dinner. I know that's kind of a traditional dinner, so I thought, hey, I'll try it. And I had spaghetti and meatballs, and that was great. I didn't eat anything unusual. At the expo, they were giving out free ice cream, and I didn't want to try that just in case, you know, it didn't agree with me. And so the day of the marathon, the morning, I got up at 3:30 because I had to get on the bus at 4:45, and it, you know, it was a little bit of a drive, and they actually told us to get there 30 minutes early. So I had coffee as usual. If you're used to having coffee, be sure you have coffee. And I had oatmeal, which is what I normally have. But I also brought peanut butter and Ritz to eat right before the marathon, and some gummy bears, so I had some nutrition directly before. So there's a check-in place. They have some bags, and you put your bib number on the bags, and then you can get your jacket back. And I wear flip-flops because I'm a barefoot runner. I like to have flip-flops to wear before and after the race, so I put that in my bag as well. That it gets put in a UPS type of truck and delivered at the finish line, so you can get your items back. What I carried during the marathon, I took 4 gels with me and a bottle of water, and I safety pinned a $20 bill inside of my pocket, so in case I wanted to purchase any food after the marathon, I would have some money to purchase. I didn't end up using it. You know, after the marathon, I just ate the snacks that they provided and was kind of in la la land, so I wasn't really thinking about eating. I probably should have eaten a little bit more, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So my strategy for the marathon was to run a 10 to 11 minute pace, and I ended up running about a 10-minute 30-second pace. So that's how I finished in 4 hours and 39 minutes. I'm not super good with math, but that's how it worked out. So along the way, I met some really nice people. One person that stood out in particular was a gentleman named Tyson. He's an older gentleman, and he had run, I believe, 11 marathons barefoot. He wasn't barefoot on this race, but he had a lot of really great tips to share about different courses and how they were to run barefoot. He said the LA Marathon, when it goes under the 405 freeway, I believe, is very rocky. If I'm remembering right, that might have been the Orange County Marathon. I can't remember. I wish I could remember that. but he qualified for Boston on his very first marathon that he ever ran, and he's only been running for 4 years. So I was very impressed with that, and he qualified for Boston again on Sunday. I saw him at the finish line, and he said, yep, he had qualified for Boston again, so he was headed for, he'll be at Boston next year. I'm reading a lot of notes that I took to share with you guys. So in the last half of the marathon, I noticed I was getting a little bit mentally confused, and this has happened during my training runs as well. I would get really foggy in my mind, like I couldn't think clearly, and they did have electrolyte drink stations, and it's really amazing what the electrolyte drink will do, because I would be feeling really foggy in my head, and as soon as I got one of those electrolyte drinks, they use the Fluid brand, within minutes I could feel my mind clearing up. It was really astonishing how dramatic the change was from taking that electrolyte drink. With a fogginess in the mind, it's really hard to explain. I don't know scientifically what was going on, but it was very noticeable. A lot of the time I would run on the stripes in the road as possible. You know, the painted yellow stripes. If cars weren't coming, I would really be very attentive for cars, because the roads were open to cars, a lot of the roads were. And so if I was running on the stripes, I would have to make sure that no cars were coming. So I was very aware of that. But it is easier on the feet. I'm a barefoot runner, so you know, the more shortcuts you can take like that to save your feet, the better. So if you're considering running a barefoot marathon, just, you know, run on the stripes if you would like, or just look at the course and see which part looks the smoothest for your feet and run on that part. That really seemed to go a long way for me. I'm getting these weird shadows on my face from, it's really beautiful here. Look how beautiful this park is that I'm in. That tree right there is really nice. Maybe I should do it this way. Anyway, oh, I want to show you my medal. So this is the medal, Mountains to Beach, and see how the middle has the mountains? Well, let's see if I can do this. It flips around, and hold on. Look, that center thing flips around, and they're at the beach. So it's a really cool medal. Now, I'm gonna share a few other things. Okay, you wanna know the worst thing that I stepped on? It was chewing gum, which is really funny because you would think the worst thing that you step on would be glass or something like that, but it was chewing gum. And so, yeah, getting that off was fun. I just kind of scraped it off on the road. There were dead rats on the road. There was a dead raccoon. It was really sad. I couldn't even look at it. There were huge spiders and bees in the road. You know, because I'm looking at the road a lot, so I saw these things in the road. And on Ventura Avenue, the course goes through Ventura Avenue, the road is very cracked, and so, like, deep cracks. And so I had to run it was like a lot of technical work, which made it kind of fun, like a game, to like try not to step in, you know, like twist my ankle or anything in the cracks. And I'm sure everybody else with shoes was having to be aware of that as well. So that's one area on the course that was a little bit challenging, was all the cracks in the road on Ventura Avenue. But it was fine. It made it more interesting to have to do some technical footwork. I'm really glad I carried a bottle of water. Somebody mentioned, you know, you don't have to carry water because there are water stations on that course, maybe every mile or two, and fluid stations as well, the electrolyte drink. But I was really glad that I had my water, because sometimes between those stations I wanted something to drink, and even at the start line I wanted something to drink. So I would totally recommend carrying your own water as well. And when you take the gels, it's really nice to have water to swallow the gels with, because I don't know, I think I was getting dehydrated, my mouth was kind of dry, so it was really nice to have that water. So I took one gel each hour. So the marathon started at 6 a.m. So I just took a gel every hour on the hour, and that seemed to work for me. And I felt plenty of energy. I felt great during that marathon. I had a good time with that marathon. Let's see. Oh, I did have some tweezers in my pocket in case I got a thorn or anything, which I didn't, but I lost the tweezers, so a lot of good that was. And I felt good until the last 3 miles, and I wanted to share a little more specifically what I meant by the last 3 miles being hard, like what made them hard. Well, of course there was fatigue, and my legs were just really tired of going. I had negative thoughts, and the soles of my feet were irritated, but I told myself, okay, just kill yourself now and pay for it later. That's what I kept telling myself. You'll only have your first marathon once, so just go ahead and kill yourself. And I mean, not literally, and then just pay for it later. It's my first marathon, so I did. Also, just kind of this desperate feeling of wanting to be done with the marathon, even though I was having a good time, is just kind of like, wow, this is really far. But that was just the last mile. I mean, up until the last mile it was fine. And there was kind of a big hill at the very beginning of the last mile going downhill. And downhill is actually harder for me than uphill, which is funny. And I saw the 3-hour, 34-minute pacers go by, and so I jumped in with them, and I was able to stay with them until the last mile. But the road got really rocky on the last mile, and as a barefoot runner, rocky roads do slow me down. It's just the way it is. If they're really rocky, it's gonna slow me down. So I was kind of like by myself when I went under the Ventura Pier, which was kind of cool in a weird sort of way, because I couldn't keep up with the pacers. And I'm just reading my notes here. Yeah, just kind of a frustrated feeling at the last mile. There was like a bicycle in the road, and I was feeling frustrated, like why are they in the road? I hope they get out of my way so I can get past. And my friend Elizabeth was there with her cheering me on sign, and I was just delirious. I'm kind of embarrassed. I don't even know how I was acting with her, but I was, yeah, really tired and delirious. So I have some other notes here. So at the very end, I got disoriented because you kind of do some twists and turns, and there was a huge crowd in the way, but they stopped and got out of the way. So it was kind of weird. There's like all these people cheering for you and all the American flags at the end. That was really cool. It was really emotional and exciting to see those flags and the word finish up ahead. That was really crazy. And I had in my mind that I wanted to jump in the ocean after the marathon because it's right there, but there were all of these rocks in the way. So I met up with my friend Amy, and we got down, we went like half a mile past, probably not that far, but it felt like it. And we found some stairs, and stairs were really hard to go down, but we did it, and we got down into the water, and it was really refreshing after running a marathon to get to jump in the ocean. My feet did cramp a few times during the marathon and even afterward, but mentally I told myself, no, I couldn't let them do that. So I just mentally was able to get them to stop cramping. It's very weird and powerful how much you can tell your body what to do. So I just said, no, you're not allowed to cramp up, and they didn't. So the recovery, 5 hours after the marathon, I was at home, and I actually went into shock because my hips locked up and my brain was telling my legs to move and they would not move. It was really scary. I actually was considering going to the hospital, but I just took deep breaths, calmed myself, and was able to mentally work myself out of going into shock. Thank the Lord for that, because I don't really know how I did that, but I was in a lot of pain. So I broke down and took some Advil. I don't like to take medication, but I took some Advil and I put some ice on the hips